If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends assume it was for?
Slapping someone.
I love assault. Good old-fashioned.
In my mind.
Gets the point across, doesn't it? Welcome to this week's episode of Property Management Uncensored. This week's episode is entitled The Curse of Coco, actually. So what had happened was, this is the second time we've shot this. We had a malfunction on some of our equipment, so we're going to go back and redo it. So this is our first reshoot. So welcome, Coco, for our reshoot. This episode is actually entitled Furnished and Fabulous. We are going to be talking about short-term and mid-term rentals, furnished rentals, which is Coco Hanauer's specialty. So Coco, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
I know, we're a little out of breath. I know the videographer Grant was running around, putting everything away, then bringing it all back out again to go ahead and do this again. So thank you all for your time. So we're going to start with the basics. Again, Coco.
Yes.
How long have you been in real estate and property management?
I have been in real estate just over 32 years, property management 25 years.
That's a long time to be in property management when you consider most people are in property management about 2 or 3 years before they've had enough and get out of the business or go back to traditional resale.
It's true. I love it though.
I was 8 when you started, just to put that out there.
Great, thanks. Thanks a bunch.
You are very welcome. So people don't generally grow up thinking, gosh, I'm going to be a property manager or a real estate agent when I grow up. How did it happen for you?
It happened for me when I met a fellow agent during the Gulf War who interest rates were crazy. People weren't really selling. People weren't really buying. Military members were gone. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And I needed to live, right? I needed income. So I had a conversation with an agent that I used to work with. And she said the best thing I could do for myself right then was to start a small portfolio of property management. That way I would have income coming in until there was a change in the market. And then the rest is history after that.
And that's a great reason and why a lot of people go into property management, because even when the resale market goes down, property management is stable and it can keep agents afloat like it did for you, and it can keep entire brokerages afloat depending on the size of the portfolio. So it's really, really beneficial for brokerages to have a property management department. You had mentioned that the rates had gone crazy. Are you a little bit crazy to go into property management and to stay in it this long? Like what keeps you going?
Well, I love it, number one. Okay. But number two, one of my favorite lines from a Pixar movie, Robots, is see a need, fill a need. And that's kind of the mentality I have with property management, is that for every property that we get, there is somebody that needs that house. So that's kind of how it stuck with me.
What would your tenants say about you? She's
tough.
Good. I like that. I think ours would say the same.
She's tough.
I mean, our lease, if we could do business on a handshake, that would be great. But we know leases or contracts in general are for people who can't follow the rules. So, that's why leases are as long and complicated and sometimes go into details where you're like, why is that in a lease? Well, someone obviously did something at one point and now that needs to be in the lease.
Well, I think it's really important too when we have tenants is the biggest part of our job with our clients and with the tenants is education, because we know they're not reading the contracts. We know they're not really reading the emails, and you have to constantly educate them on what's really happening in their property and their lease.
Absolutely. And we talk about training, like we're training our tenants, we're training our clients to interact with us the way that, works for us as well. When you have several hundred doors, it makes sense to have all communication come in one way, the way that works for you. If you don't want to be texted, don't give out your personal cell phone number, for example. So, and everyone operates their own way and whatever works for them, but it's all a training process, both for tenants and for clients. You do a lot of midterm and furnished rentals that I don't do. So how did you get involved in that? Like, did you start traditional, annual, unfurnished, and then go into the midterm, or how did that happen?
I did start with the traditional year lease, unfurnished properties. And then during COVID, my father got ill, and we have 14 cottages in Western North Carolina. So when I had to take over the family business, that's when I jumped on the Airbnb model and learned that. And then a lot of my colleagues here in Hampton Roads, other agents were watching me. And then when I came back to Hampton Roads, they said, "Hey, I saw you were doing this Airbnb thing. Do you think you could help my client out?" And then I thought, here we go. Let's do it. So I don't like to say no, so I find a way to say yes.
Absolutely, and that's great because we are here for our clients. We never want to say no to them. We want to find some way that we can work because they have a need and we need to have a solution. The demand, let's talk about the demand for midterm rentals or short-term rentals because we know that the Airbnb market got saturated so quickly because everyone said, "Oh, I can do this. It's, quote unquote, easy money." What's going on with the market currently?
I think that a lot of our area has seen their Airbnb activity slow down. Number one, we're in the off season right now, but bookings overall, a lot of people have slowed down, honestly. The midterms, there's a huge need for midterms in our area. It's not just traveling nurses anymore. It's not the standard guest that you think would be looking for a midterm. Think about our clients who maybe are displaced because they have water damage in their house. A tree falls on their property. They have a fire. They have to live somewhere when their house is being renovated. Think of all the people that were hit by that, oddball tornado that came through. Right. There was tons of families that were displaced. Well, where were they going to go? They went into midterms or they went into short terms that were willing to rent on a longer term. The need is there. Most of my midterms are filled from other agents who reach out to me and say, "Hey, I have a tenant who had a owner who had a problem." Or two, I have people that are moving here from out of the country with a military PCS. They need to live somewhere until they learn the area, where they're going to buy, maybe they're going to build. So this gives them that temporary home feel and not have to deal with a hotel.
Do you have insurance companies reach out to you as well to fill those?
All the time.
Are you finding that they are willing to pay a higher rate?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying too.
I never get any, kickback on what our rents are, what our deposits are, what our processes are. Not ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding as well. How do you maintain your composure when a tenant or client says something less than ideal? Because especially in the short-term rental market, when a maintenance issue happens and they're here for a long weekend, how do you deal with that?
I think the biggest thing is constant communication, letting them know all the time what's going on. I am a very hands-on property manager and host for my properties. So it doesn't matter if I have a couple call me and say, "Hey, we can't connect to the Wi-Fi." Well, guess what? I'll be there in half an hour. Because everybody has to have their Wi-Fi. They need to be seen right away. Same thing if the AC doesn't work, if they have a water heater leak, whatever the problems may be, I go down there right away and make them let them know that I'm here, we're gonna take care of this, we're gonna get everything lined up. So
that's incredibly important because right now, everything is so impersonal because everything is email or text or something like that. So being able to put a face behind the text message or the phone call, it makes it so much easier. And I know one of the things that we've started doing is a lot of video introductions. So instead of it just getting, "Hey, a welcome email," you'll actually get a personalized video from me when you're a client, when you sign, "Hey, I'm Phil. It was, great talking to you." Now you can put a face behind the email or something like that. And they like that because people just aren't doing that. They're hiding behind their computer right now.
There is something to be said for the personal touch.
Absolutely. In the real estate industry, people have been sending thank you cards for years, obviously, but it's not really done too much in the property management industry. And I know that's something that we do here. Anytime someone signs with us, they get a personalized thank you card that I write out. It's not sent from a site or anything like that, but with just a nice little personal message. I think they appreciate that.
Well, that's the difference here at Atlantic Sotheby's.
I think so. And, let's talk about that briefly. You've come from other property or from other real estate brokerages. What is the difference between us and them?
The expectation. This company's expectation from us, what they want from us, I think is top tier. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other brokerages don't have expectations. They just want you to produce. They don't care what you do otherwise. Chris Weaver himself reaches out to me all the time that I'm not even expecting him to know what I'm doing. And he'll send me a voice message or a text. Hey, I heard you were having had something going on. How'd that go for you? What can I do for you? Like that personal touch is huge for me, because we can all be numbers in anybody's brokerages. But for the broker to just randomly reach out to me and be like, hey, good job. I saw you were doing this. That's great. That's the difference for me.
Right. You had a social media class here last week on Friday, I think. And when people have classes like that, I expect 5 to 10 people to show up like that. But the room was pretty much packed.
The room was packed. Yeah,
it was
we're
incredible.
already planning 2.0, so I'm really excited for that. We're going to get into editing and things like that for TikTok, Instagram, things like that, to help people use their social media better. Absolutely.
We put out as much information as we can as a brokerage because we want everyone to be better all the time. And, speaking of Chris Weaver, I got it. The way that he just randomly reaches out, I got an e-card from him over the weekend that just said, hey, Phil, thanks for everything that you're doing. Like, how many brokers randomly do that?
None.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the difference here. Like,
that
he cares.
Is the difference.
Absolutely. Do you have any crazy stories? Because you do a lot of Airbnb.
I mean, I wish I could say I had something crazy going on, but I don't. I have a lot of crazy stories because I really keep a tight rope on all my Airbnbs, because you have to. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody to lose their permit. I don't want complaints going to the city. So I really don't have anything crazy.
I like that, because in the media you hear about all these wild parties that go on during the festival, something in the water, all that stuff. But those are really isolated events. Most are just coming in town, enjoying their vacation, taking care of the property and going home. But the media sensationalizes all of that kind of stuff and make it look like everyone's a bad business owner. And it's not true.
No, it's not. It's not.
How do you maintain work-life balance? Because you are busy all the time.
Yeah, 7 days a week I'm working. I think for me, Monday through Friday, the biggest game changer was when I dedicated to time blocking. I know it's a basic in our business, but when you have so many different balls in the air, you have to time block, or else you will not be able to juggle it all, literally.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things that I found helpful when I got into this business, and with property management specifically, is I have found I can accomplish so much more between 7 and 8 in the morning than I can between 4 and 5. So I get here a little after 7 o'clock every day because no one's here. There's no one, blowing up my phone lines or my email or anything, and I can actually get my job done.
I usually do most of my emails between 5 and 7 in the morning. I think you and I have had early chat sessions before too. So I like it quiet and before the world gets crazy. That's when I do a lot of my best admin.
Absolutely. What's your favorite type of tenant?
My favorite type of tenant is a second chance tenant. Somebody who's gone through a life experience and needs a second chance. Somebody with an aggressive breed dog who gets turned down everywhere, but it's their baby. Those are the people that are my favorite, because I like to say yes.
I love that. And what's your favorite type of owner?
The ones that say yes. Yes, Karina, do it. Do whatever you want to do. I love it. Do it. Those are my favorite.
The ones that let you do your job, that they hired you to do.
Right.
Absolutely. I love that. What's a challenge that you've faced in property management?
Owners not being on board with preventative maintenance.
That is huge, because some owners, not all, but some owners just want to sit back and, rake in the money, but not reinvest that in the property.
Well, I mean, preventative maintenance, you address things, especially in your HVAC, that could be costly expenses that most of our owner clients are not sitting around with tens of thousands of dollars in the bank. And when you have to hit them up with, hey, it's going to cost you $10,000 to put a new HVAC in, they're not ready for it. And just having those biannual inspections, cleanings, things like that of their furnace, we can make a plan. Mm-hmm. We can save some of that stuff from happening. And, that's, I think for me, that between the HVAC and having annual termite inspections, those are the big money savers.
I think I just saw a bunch of bills come through for your HVAC, and I'm guessing that was all preventative maintenance type stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I saw those come through, and I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So we are going to move right on over into our rapid fire questions. 7 questions. First thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Let's go.
All right. If you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
I would say Audrey Hepburn because she was a trailblazer for women.
Wonderful. What's one item on your bucket list?
Bali.
Beautiful. What's the worst fashion choice you have made that you thought was cool at the time?
Polka dots.
What's a TV show you could watch on repeat?
Young Sheldon.
What liquor can you absolutely not drink because of a prior bad experience?
Tequila.
I want to hear about that experience.
Oh, it was just, young, in the clubs, and I did the worm.
Oh.
And didn't know that it would be like concentrated, and so it kind of hits different. And yeah, I'm done with tequila.
If your dog could talk, what would they tell you?
Thank you.
That's adorable. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends assume it was for?
Slapping someone.
I love assault. Not really, but I mean, good old-fashioned.
In my mind.
Gets the
Great.
point across, doesn't it? All right. Thank you so much, Coco, for joining us for the second go-round. Hopefully, this all worked correctly. Of course, we're available on YouTube, any streaming platform that you want to watch, and of course, on our Facebook as well. Check out all new episodes every other Monday. Thanks for joining us, Coco.
Thanks, Phil.
All right.